Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Next Man Up podcast, the podcast where we talk to basketball personalities and chat about the latest in the Philippine hoop scene. Let's get to it and check out the Next Man Up. And just to remind you guys, the Globally Ballin Network, who's responsible for us being here, has its own website with their own content. You can also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube. Catch the other shows of the network where we talk about sports. And of course, an eternity of basketball where they talk to different legends in the Philippine hoop scene. For episode 151, they interviewed Jolly Escobar, former PBA player, now a PBA broadcaster, one of the longtime analysts for the PBA. And for Who the Heck Are We? They got Kevin Goko and Coach Vic Hermans for episode 117. And of course, the Next Man Up podcast, you can catch all the other episodes on Spotify. Just search Next Man Up podcast and also on YouTube at Globally Ballin. And of course, subscribe to us on YouTube. All episodes are available on the Globally Ballin YouTube channel. Now, before we get going, this podcast is not a solo show, but a two-man game between me, Diego Dario, and my guy, my former teammate in college, Mr. Hot Takes, Gelo, Vito. Two-man game back in college, two-man game on the court, also two-man game here in this podcast. What's up, GV?
What up, Jegs? Good evening, everyone, to all our listeners. It's been a crazy week of basketball. So tune in. We're going to be discussing all of the news, all of the updates in terms of basketball, not just here in the Philippines, but all over the world. So
And
tune in.
just to remind our viewers what happened last episode. Last episode, we had the captain, Brix Ramos of the UP Fighting Maroons, talk about their experience so far in the first round. We talked about the UAAP games, and we also talked about some of the PBA games that happened that week. Now, for this show, we all know that the first round of the UAAP has just finished, basically, and we all have the standings now. So let's talk about all the teams so far, their performances, and what happened here in this first round. Jello, you covered a lot of the games
Yep.
in the first round. I covered a lot of the games, so for sure marami tayong pag-uusapan dito,
Yeah.
Jels. But let's talk about the standings first in general. So far, at solo number one, we have the University of the Philippines, the Fighting Maroons, Jello. Let's talk about the top four teams here. So Ateneo at second, tied with NU at that two spot with 5-2 records. And for the fourth spot, it's all
It was a
tied up also.
three-way tie. It was a three-way
Three-way
tie.
tie. So it's the Adamson Soaring Falcons, UE, and LaSalle tying up for that fourth spot. So many surprises this season, so many upsets. What can you say first about what's happening and what happened in the first round, GV?
The first round is a round of surprises. That's an obvious one.
Yep.
And then nung nasurpresa na tayo, biglang nagkaroon ng mga twists and turns, ups and downs, left and right, yung standings. There are teams that we expected to be at the
Mm-hmm.
top, obviously given, but there were teams that we expected to be at the top, pero nasa baba sila or even nasa gitna or even nasa baba. So that is like, ako for me, it's a huge culmination of ano yung naging preparation ng lahat ng teams. Given like meron lang silang 5 months to prepare from the previous season and up till now,
Right.
nakita mo na kagad yung the level of competition has already elevated right then and there. So it's a crazy season. First round pa lang.
Well, I mean, that's UAAP basketball for you, Gels. I mean, you wouldn't know what to expect just because of the atmosphere. You'll never know if someone's gonna have a great day or someone's gonna have a bad day.
Yep.
In the UAAP, short season. Just you're gonna go up against 7 teams, 2 games each round. I mean, for the whole season,
Yep.
you'll never know. You can shoot lights out for the first 7 games, and then have a slump in the next 7. And that's gonna make or break the whole season. That's the UAAP
That's true.
for you.
That's
So
true.
let's talk about the teams one by one. Let's talk about the number one team, of course, the UP Fighting Maroons. Are
Mm-hmm.
you even surprised? The defending champions standing at number one right now with a 6-1 record. And they lost to NU in that first round. And unang kalaban nila for the second round, we'll talk about that later. NU din on Sunday. But
Uh,
overview of the Fighting Maroons, just what's up?
you know, with the Fighting Maroons, you really expected them to be at the top. But ito nga, gaya nga nasabi natin, it's a round of surprises. But
Mhm.
we never expected them to one, to lose one game, and two, to win games very, very close. Yung dikit hanggang dulo. And they had two games na nag-overtime sila. They had games where sa first half, they were trailing behind. But again, gaya nga nasasabi ko, the level of competition right now in the UAP is so high that even the defending champions are having a hard time. So you
Well,
really have to expect teams to be like at their backs all the time.
well, I agree. I mean, I think this is not UP at 100% yet. Hindi
Yeah.
pa ito yung
Di pa yung
peak
peak eh. Di pa
ng
yung peak.
Fighting Maroons just because JD Kagulangan is not
That's
100%.
one.
I mean, UP looks way different when this guy, Maymay Kagulangan, is inside the court. The numbers might not reflect kung ano
True.
yung effect niya sa court for UP. I mean, I think against Ateneo, he had, I think, 7 points, 4 steals, and 4 assists. If you look at it that way, parang okay, regular numbers for
Yep.
Maymay Kagulangan. But every time he's on the court, parang kumpiyansa sila Carl, sila
Yeah.
Zave, sila Malik na they're gonna get the ball when they're open, sila Spencer,
Mm-hmm.
that he's gonna be set up perfectly. And the
Yep.
tempo. For me as a point guard, nakikita ko kay JD, he has that veteran experience now or veteran skill of controlling the pace. He knows
Yes.
when to set up plays
Yes,
to,
yes.
okay, let's run a set for Carl, let's run a set for Malik. And he knows when to push the pace,
True.
forward pass, try to get easy baskets, easy layups. And that's crucial for the Fighting Maroons. Ikaw so far, sino yung player na nag-stand out for you for the Fighting Maroons?
I have to give it to this guy, Terence Fortea.
Mm-hmm.
He picked up the pieces when at the start of the season when JD was out. JD was nursing an injury. And
Mm-hmm.
si Terence yung nag-step up to be the lead point guard for the Fighting Maroons. Nobody expected him to be the top point guard start of the season because again he's known to be a scoring guard rather than someone who facilitates. But yung gaya nga na napag-usapan natin before, iba yung nadadala ni Terence Fortea to the table. Someone na would score when needed but can also facilitate kahit papano. Pero si JD kasi, si Maymay, talagang pure point guard na para
Right.
siyang naglalaro ng chess. Alam niya kung saan ilalagay and alam niya kung saan ibibigay yung bola at the right place at the right time. So, again, it really, maganda yung nagawa ni Coach Gold in terms of placing Terence Fortea as a system as a top point guard for the team. And another guy probably really surprised me is Save Lucero. Save Lucero again started flat. Again, siyempre bago eh, but then all of a sudden he had great output from time to time. There was a game na guys Adamson, siya na yung tumapos instead of si Carl. Kasi
Right.
ganun kalaki yung tiwala ni Coach Gold sa mga bata niya na if my top guy is not working, I don't care. I'm sitting you on the bench. I have
Mm-hmm.
another guy to replace that, and this guy stepped up.
And that's the luxury you have if you have a super talented team, super deep team like the Fighting
Ibang
Maroons.
klase.
Charles
Ibang
not
klase.
working, I have Zave off the bench, Galenato off the bench.
The bench.
I mean, we talked about the difference of Terence Fortean and Kagulangan. I'm not saying that JD Kagulangan is better than Terence. They just played way different.
Yep.
Si Terence, he looks for his shot first and then that opens up the passing opportunities. Si Maymay, opposite. He looks for the pass first. And dahil sobrang galing niya pumasa, yung defense, they just go to the teammates, opens up
That's
scoring
where they open.
opportunities
Yeah.
for him. Pero syempre, we gotta talk about Carl, man. Probably the best
Oh.
player in the Fighting Maroons, averaging almost 15 a game,
Yeah.
almost a double-double. I mean, are you even surprised that Carl Tamayo is playing at this level here in season 85?
It's not a surprise that he's dominating the league. I am confidently saying that he is already dominating the league. Second year niya pa lang here in the UAP.
Mm-hmm.
Given the fact na he had a great experience playing internationally right before the season started, and the level of confidence that he has right now is through the roof. Kumbaga times two pa kung ano yung pinakita niya from the last season.
Yeah,
Bro, there are games na para siya si Lebron. Amin na yung bola, umalis kayo dyan, na-isolate ako.
right.
And he would also have games where he would do moves that only a guard can do.
Mm.
Stopping on the dime, step back, three-pointer, pang.
Euro step.
Euro step, hit me at the mid post, turn around, shimmy, fade away, basket. Sino sinong second year player ang gumagawa nun, 'di ba? And again, I feel like he's a man among boys this season.
Pro ready, basically. Pro ready
Pro
na to,
ready,
no?
pro ready,
Not,
pro
no
ready na.
doubt that Carl
No
Tamayo is
doubt,
pro ready. All
no
right.
doubt.
So, of course, with the talent that UP has, with the system that Coach Gold put in, they're number one here in season 85. But
Yep,
alam natin just in one round, we'll never know
you never
what
know,
would happen
never
in
know.
the UAP. So the number two team tied Ateneo and NU. Of course, Ateneo will be at number two in the
Number two,
rankings
kasi
because they
tinalo nila si
beat
NU.
NU.
Yep.
Right. So let's talk about Ateneo first. So the top two teams, the finalists from season 84 are at the top of the UAP. Let's talk
Yeah.
about Ateneo. I would agree. I think you would agree also with how Ateneo's playing.
Uh-huh.
Um, their five wins. They're 5-2,
Mm-hmm.
right? Their five
Yep.
wins. They have dominated their opponents. Take
Oh,
away the game against UP. Take away the game against LaSalle. Lahat ng kinalaban nila double. At least I think average of double digits. I think
double
there was one
digits,
game
yeah.
na 9 points lang, but if you average everything, more
That's
than
double
10
digit.
points
Oh
yung
yeah.
lamang nila. So you can't say that this Ateneo team is not the same team or it's not the dominating team
Yeah.
that they were. You can say
Mm.
that they're not that deep because they're last in terms of bench
Yeah.
scoring, but yung first five nila, pwedeng mag-champion pa rin yan eh.
Pwede
Their
nga
first
mag-champion.
five can win a championship in the UAP. You have Fortski, you have BJ Andrade at the 2, Dave Ildefonso at the 3,
Kai.
maybe Kai Balungay at the 4, and then
Yeah.
5, si Ange Kwame. That 5 can
Bro.
go up against any 5. That's probably gonna be the best 5
Yeah.
in the UAP. Yung first 5 ng Ateneo.
Yeah. But for me, Jegs, the real question here is that sustainable? Kasi we've known Ateneo, yun nga, with the bench points and the current how he rotates, how Coach Tab and the Ateneo staff rotates his
Right.
players. With the way I saw the stats when I covered Ateneo. 4 of the starters is averaging more than 25 minutes a game. That's BJ,
Yeah.
Fortski, Ange, and Dave. The question here is it sustainable? Kasi
Mhm.
alam natin na successful yung Ateneo when Coach Tab rotates everyone. But
Right.
right now, when your top players are averaging more than 25 minutes a game, is it kakayanin ba
Kung
pagdating sa
condition
dulo?
sila. I think kung condition sila, possible. It's gonna be sustainable. But this is definitely not the same Ateneo. Nung naglalaro pa tayo, Jels, season 8, 79, 80, 81.
81.
Nung kalaro natin Ateneo, Jels, di natin alam kung sino yung ibababad ni Coach Tab. We wouldn't
Hindi.
know who's gonna step up. I remember there's just one game, Ateneo, I think Tyler didn't even play the first 2 games. And then against us, he just exploded for like
Exploded.
13 points in 1 quarter.
Diba?
Parang for Ateneo this season, you wouldn't see that much. Kasi, yun nga, you said it, that they're averaging more than 25 minutes a game because Coach Tab is relying on the starters
The starters.
this season. And I think that's the first time it's happening. Usually,
Yeah.
ginagawa niya to finals na eh.
Yeah,
Right? Sila
dulo na
Ferdy,
sagad na
mababa
pag,
din ng 30 minutes. Sila Matt Nieto. Pero
yeah,
finals or Final Four na. And
yeah.
I think it's not because Ateneo lost a step. I think it's because some of the teams are slowly getting to
Catching
their
up.
level,
Yeah,
right?
that
Catching
is
up
true.
to the competition. So let's just look at the numbers. Dave Ildefonso leading them with 14 points per game, 8
Yep.
rebounds, and almost 3 assists. So Dave,
Mm-hmm.
so far, I think the past 2 games, he's shown na he's gonna be aggressive, that he's gonna be that guy. I think he answered the call of Coach Tab
Yes.
na, Dave
Be the
has to be
guy.
the leader for
Yeah.
Ateneo. And so far, the past 2, 3 games, he's done that. Although I think
Mm-hmm.
sa fourth quarter, I still feel like it should be him rather than fourth ski. Although fourth ski has the guts and confidence to take those shots, but I think
Yeah.
if pag tinignan mo yung ranking or like with us, Jels, di ba? Okay, pag senior ka, you're probably gonna take the fourth quarter, the tough shots. Diba? That's what one
Mm.
did when Paul was still with us, diba?
Yeah.
Fourth quarter, sige, Paul, it's you. It's your time. I think it should
Pero,
be Dave,
oh,
yung fourth quarter guy for
fourth
Ateneo.
quarter
Fourth,
guy.
averaging 6 assists per game.
He's number two.
He's been
He's
great.
currently
He's
number
been
two.
great as a point guard. He's making great reads. But let's talk about Kai Balungay, man. 12 points per game, Gelo. This is a four guy. Imagine kung naglalaro ka pa ngayon, ito yung babantayan mo, Jels.
Kawawa ako dyan. But yeah, like talking about Kai Balungay, the way
Mm,
kasi ako we've played against Ateneo for since nung start pa ni Coach Tab and until we graduated.
right.
And the way I see it, yung mga four guys, kasi ako alam ko yan kasi I've been guarding four guys, Ateneo's four guys for like quite some time. And going up against Will Navarro, going up against Rafi Verano,
Right.
the way I see it, ibang-iba si Kai Balungay sa kanila. Not discrediting yung talent nung dalawa, but Kai Balungay is such a different player in the system of where Coach Tab is right now. Because
Right.
the way I see sila Rafi and sila Will, the offense starts through them.
Mm-hmm.
Alam mo yan, yung
Glue guys
Eurobasket,
sila, basically.
glue sila yung sa top of the key ng
All
Euroball
mover. Ball
all
mover.
mover, ball mover sila, they know where to. Pero ito si Kai, he's different in the sense na he can bring you out, he can also play you inside. Ganun siya eh. And kahit nag-start siya flat in this first game in the UAAP, slowly but surely his game elevated, and during that game against their last game against
UE.
UE, he broke out. Ganda nung pinakita niya nun. I covered that game.
I think back-to-back games, okay yung laro
Back-to-back
ni
games yung
Balungay.
okay siya. Nag-career high yata siya nun. Like, I think he scored 20 plus points in back-to-back games. So that's he can bring, Kai Balungay can bring scoring. Not unlike sila Rafi and I mean, those guys can score. True. But different talaga yung four guy. Kasi usually yung four guy, yan yung parang hub nila. That's what they call parang yung hub guy nila, di ba? So, with Kai Balungay, iba talaga. And obviously, BJ Andrade is gonna be BJ. He's just gonna jack up threes when it's open. But ako,
Pero may
nakikita
mga
ko,
drive siya na solid, si BJ.
yun na nga,
He's
yun na nga.
developing his game.
That's the thing about BJ. Nag-evolve yung game niya kahit papano from the previous season, knowing that isa sa mga veterano dyan. And when he's needed, X factor yan si
Right.
BJ.
And he's the
If
team
they wanna
captain.
make, and if Ateneo wants to make another run at the championship, I think BJ is gonna be a huge factor for Ateneo.
For sure, kasi magfo-focus yung defense kala Dave, Kai Balungay, Fortsky, but BJ, when you leave him open, bucket. Now, last guy for Ateneo before we move on to the next team, Ange Gomez still producing MVP numbers, double-double, almost 11 points per game and 11 rebounds per game, and almost 3 blocks per game. So Ange Gomez still becoming that anchor on defense for Ateneo, which is always a cheat code. He's been extra aggressive in rebounding the ball, scoring the ball, but you won't expect Ange to take over in the fourth quarter, right?
No, no,
Ange
no.
might be the MVP, pero hindi siya yung, okay, I'll give it to you in the post, go to work. I don't think that's
He
what
hasn't been
Ange
like
can
that.
do.
He's not. He
Yeah,
was
yeah,
never like that. He was never like
right.
that.
And do you think eventually Ange will become like that? Or parang with the system of Coach Tab, he grew up in that system, hindi yun mangyayari?
With the role, kasi ako, I've been observing Ateneo how they run their offense.
Mm,
It's usually they're calling it a hybrid na Princeton offense. Eh. Now
right, right.
where the
Out.
five guy is out and siya yung parang nasa gitna where gets all the handoff and gets all the handoffs and gives off the handoffs, sets ball screens, sets back screens.
Mm,
Dun siya na dun siya na open kasi the philosophy of that is if you're the screener, most of the time or eight times out of 10 you're gonna get open. So that's where
right.
Anche is effective. And plus, he's currently the number one rebounding guy in the league. So
Well, I mean, the talent is there. Anshcom is a cheat code. Basically, that's it. He can put the ball down the floor, and he's even shooting threes now.
he's
So
shooting
you'll never
threes.
know what Ansh can do. Maybe in the second round, we'll just dominate everyone. Okay, next team that we're gonna talk about. This team was
Eto,
number one for a while, and then now they're tied at number two. The National University Bulldogs, tinalo nila yung UP. So
nobody
because of them,
expected
walang
them.
yeah, because of them, walang sweep. And
Yeah.
people were calling NU the dark horse to get that fourth spot in the final four. But they are showing all
They're
the
proving us
UAP
wrong.
fans that no, we can be number one. We can beat the top teams in the UAP.
Ibang
And
klase
we're
sila.
doing it through defense. That's the
Yeah.
name of the
The
game
game
for
for
the
them, yeah.
National University Bulldogs. Scrappy game. We're gonna play an ugly game. We don't care about highlights. We don't care about fancy plays. We'll try to stop your sets. They're super good at scouting. And then on offense, they just share the ball. Wala kang makita na nagto
Wala.
20 points sa
Wala.
NU. I think
Wala.
most of their games, parang highest score would be like 13, 14. And then
Mm.
it's like 10, 9, 8. And it's
Yeah.
always an
Balance
ugly
scoring.
game. Always an ugly
Mm.
game. That game against FEU,
Pangit
it was
nun, pare.
ugly, right? Because they were just at the players, putting pressure. And
Yeah.
for NU Gels, grabe ang galing. I'm impressed with the Bulldogs.
Yeah. Sobrang ironic kasi their head coach, Coach Jeff Napa,
Hmm.
he has the record for most points in a game.
Oh.
It's so
Bucket can
ironic
si
lang na,
Coach Jeff Napa no?
but it's so ironic na right now, yung ini-instill niya sa players niya is
Oh.
play defense. Kailangan hindi makakascore. Ganun yung, and it's
Right.
just that the system and yun yung lagi ko sinasabi pag I'm covering NU games.
Hmm.
It's just that the mastery of their system within that, yung circle nila, yung team, grabe yung mastery. Parang ang
Yeah.
on point ng lahat. It's just that, well, then their last game against FEU, that's a different story. Kasi medyo may sumpa siguro yung araw na yon. Ang pangit talaga
Nag-step
ng
up
nilang
lang talaga FU nung game na yun.
nag-step up lang talaga FEU.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna look at NU's game overall, they're just crazy scrappy. Kumbaga meron silang parang the way I see their composition, yung mga usually na ginagamit nila. You have the guys that would score. You have LJ. JLC, John Lloyd
JLC,
Clemente.
right.
JLC is gonna be there. Omar John is gonna be there. Yan yung mga
Mhm.
scorers mo.
Mhm.
Then you have your 2-point guards na would put pressure on you, would facilitate,
Scrappy.
and would just be all up in you. Kian Baklaan and Steve Nash Enriquez. And you have the three guys who does the intangibles.
The
Jake
dirty
Figueroa.
work.
A dirty work lang talaga. Jake Figueroa, RJ Minerva, and Mike Malonzo. Those three guys, sila yung, I remember this game, like, talaga, sila yung tatlo na nag-rotate kay Shawnee Winston.
Mm.
Ganun. Kaya natalo yung Lasal because of that.
Right.
Because of those three guys. Because of those three guys who rotated on Shawnee Winston. And, well, in fact, gumana kasi Shawnee Winston had his his season low against NU. So yung compositional lineup nila, and syempre yung bench nila is very, very effective. And sobrang perfect talaga nung sistema lang talaga. The level of mastery ng team ng NU sa system ni Coach Jeff is just so on point.
As a fan ni Kian Baklaan, the way he played in UST where the ball was with him almost the whole time nung preseason, medyo parang, ano ba yan, pag sa NU, parang he just moves the ball, hindi siya masyado nagbo-ball screen. Pero, it's been working kasi they're
It's been
winning.
working eh.
As a point, I just want to see Kian Baklaan, flourish and with all the ball screens that he can get. But, with him and Steve Nash Enriquez running the show for NU, Steve Nash has been amazing. Parang sobrang memorize niya ng system ni Coach Jeff.
Yep.
Right? And then, Omar John, basically, is, I think, the difference maker for NU. He has that Ange Kwame effect for NU na they can put pressure because they know sa likod nila na may Omar John na magbablock ng shots. He's third in the league when it comes to blocks. And I think he's one of the reasons why NU is such a great defensive team. So NU, tied at number 2 with Ateneo.
Dito na tayo mag-aagalo.
Kung saan magulo. So, tied for the 4th spot. 4th or 3rd? Basic, no matter.
4th, 5th, 6th, whatever. Yeah, whatever.
So, let's say tied at the 4th spot at 3 and 4. Adamson Soaring Falcons, UE Red Warriors, and the DLSU Green Archers.
All 3
Let's start off with Adamson. They off to a slow start.
Tinalo sila ng UST noon opening game.
For me, nagulat lang sila dun kasi UST just put box and 1 kay Jerome, double team. Pero naka-adjust na sila eh. Parang you can't do that to Adamson anymore because they found weapons in, Magbuhos, who else? Joem Sabandal, right? So, I think what Adamson did last season 84, I think they ended the first round at 1-6 or 2-5, something like that. And they turned things around in the second round. I think they're just doing it a little bit early dito sa first round. That's why they finished with a 3-4 record. So with Adamson, Gels, I think they're peaking at the right time. Jerome Lastimosa, I think, just scored his career high in their last game. 29 points. This is what I expected from Jerome Lastimosa, man. I mean, for me, just at one point of the season, naawa na ako kay Jerome.
Ako rin naman.
Kasi parang hindi niya na malabas yung laro niya just because may double team, may triple team, box and 1. Meron pa nga isang scheme yung UST. He bring down the ball, he'll see man to man. Pagtawid ng half court, nagiging double team, then triangle yung UST. I mean, that's just unfair for a guy like Jerome. I don't think the numbers reflect how great he is. Although he's averaging 16.7 points per game and almost 5 and 5 rebounds, assists. Easily one of the best players in the league, man. I mean, that goes to show kung gaano kagaling si Jerome Lastimosa. Ganun yung average niya and then yung depensa sa kanya. Double team, triple team, box and 1. But, Jels, ang nakikita ko sa Adamson, medyo sa'yo eh. Si Vince Magbuhos. Yung average niya, 8 points, 6 rebounds, pero may games na nag-explode. What can you see with their stretch 4 in Vince Magbuhos?
Vince will be crucial in a sense na to alleviate the burden kay Jerome in terms of not just scoring kasi again, Vince is not the type of player. Well, he can score, he can shoot when he can, but pag wala ang bola kay Jerome, who's the next guy to facilitate?
Lenda Duhanga for the win.
Iba-usapan yun, pare.
Pero anyway, go.
But then again, Vince Magbuhos will be that guy na pag ni-release pass na sa kanya, siya na yung next na kikreate. That's what I'm seeing with them eh. Kasi, ang nanotice ko dun sa mga talo nila against, ang mga talo ng FE, ng Adamson, once it bigay yung bola, i-release yung ni Jerome yung bola, there's no flow. Joshua Yero, titira 3 points, bukol. Joem sa bandal, pag kinlose outan na, hindi na mababa yung bola. Jed Colonia, binigay mo sa corner, not really that consistent. But when Vince starting hitting those threes, diyan na bumuka yung floor, diyan na siya natutong dumownhill. And pag dumownhill
Mm-hmm.
siya, hindi naman siya yung parang pag dumownhill na siya, ring na yung nakikita. Hindi eh. That's where he start facilitating. That's where he gives up the ball. That's where he dish out drop passes, gives a high-low to Lenda
Mm-hmm.
Duanga. Diba? So, nag-elevate pa konti-konti yung laro ng Adamson just because Vince is very, very effective at the four spot.
And that's how great Coach Nash is as a
For
head
sure.
coach.
For sure.
I think he turned things around here for Adamson. Lenda Duanga hit that game winner against LaSalle. I mean, that's crazy. That
That's
just goes
crazy.
to show how I think the basketball gods are giving way for the
Nung
Adamson
tinira niya
Sorry
yun, pare,
Falcons.
sinabi ko chamba eh. Kita ko na chamba.
Bro, pero ginawa niya na yun dati
Ginawa
against
niya na nga dati yan eh.
NU. Oh, right,
Diba?
right. Okay, so let's move on to the next team. We're gonna
Ito.
have the UE
UE.
Red Warriors. Of course, you can't talk about UE without talking about my guy, Kyle
Your guy.
Paranada. That's my guy right there, man.
Ibang klase siya.
Confidence is A1. He thinks he's the best player in the UAP. I think that's how you play with the big boys in the UAP. You need to
Syempre.
think that way.
Yeah.
He's averaging 14 points per game, tied with
Yep.
David Defonso for fifth in the league for scoring. And he's number 4 in assists at 4.5 assists per game. So I think the reason why UE is playing at this level this season, aside from their additional
Yeah.
weapons, I think it's the elevated play of Kyle Paranada that's making the difference. Kasi season 84, we saw glimpses na he would shoot threes, but he would just jack up threes. Now he's creating, facilitating, and he's basically running the whole show for UE, and he's doing it off the bench. So Kyle Paranada, I think he's the difference maker. Heart over height basically is the name for this guy. And again, I talked about the point guard, Gels. Ikaw, I want you to talk about their stretch big in Luis Villegas. They're doing this walang FSA, walang foreign student athlete,
Wala.
and they're tied at fourth for this season. Talk about Luis Villegas, man. One and done, I think, from San Diego for UE.
You know, Luis Villegas was the guy UE needed for a long, long, long time.
Right.
That big man who can shoot and also put the ball on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
So big that can score. The last guy that na big na would score was Alvin Pasaol. That was the last UE guy that
I wouldn't
would,
even call him a big yet, diba?
di ba,
Parang
hindi pa nga siya
wing
big
pa,
nun.
yeah.
Wing pa nga yung laro niya noon. Kumbaga, he was just forced in that position. But ito talaga si Luis Villegas. He has the size, he has the range, he has the skill set
Mm-hmm.
to be that guy. And yung system din ni Coach Jack na 5 out, 4 man,
Right.
4 out, 5 out system niya na with him being at the top, setting ball screens, giving up handoffs, pick and pop. He's so effective. And not hindi lang scoring, hindi lang scoring. He's also dishing out assist, he's also
Yep.
facilitating. Again, yun ang kailangan ng UE. You want him to facilitate, you want him to take shots when needed, and that's what Luis Villegas brings to the table for UE. And hindi siya yung every game kahit talo, he's parang laging may positive sa kanya. The
Right.
way I
Right.
see him play, he's always a
Mm-hmm.
positive. He always brings something. Kahit may mga stretches like their last game against Ateneo, he didn't score that much,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a reason why he's on the floor for so long.
Right.
Kaya dumikit si UE sa kanila kaya dumikit sila sa Ateneo ng first half because Luis Villegas was there. And another guy that I want to talk about, Jegs, is CJ Payawal.
Ooh.
CJ Payawal, like
Stretch,
been a regular.
guys. He's spreading the floor for UE. Yeah.
Ano siya, para siyang yung bigote niya kamukha si Jordan Poole pero yung shooting parang parang yung shooting pero
Steph.
grabe yung shooting niya. Steph o Clay di ba? Pero
Clay,
grabe
yeah,
yung
yeah.
grabe yung breakout game niya
Right.
He had a breakout game where he dropped 5 threes,
Mm-hmm.
5 out of 7 sa 3 points in that game. And again, he's gonna be an X factor for UE this season in terms of putting up one, putting up scoring, two, stretching the floor,
Mm-hmm.
and three, something that we wanna see in the second round is pag sinimulan ka ng closeoutan, anong gagawin mo? Pinakita niya
I
yun
think
against
he's
Ateneo.
shown some, yeah.
Oo,
Yeah.
pinakita niya yun in his previous game against Ateneo, but he's not as effective eh. Well, maganda yung dinepensa kasi ng Ateneo sa kanya, but
Right.
I wanna see him take advantage of kung ano yung binibigay ng defenses sa kanya. And
Right.
pag nag-click yung tatlong yan, and add mo na si Gani Stevens in terms of being a presence inside and grabbing
Right.
those offensive
Granada,
rebounds.
bro. Gumagawa din for
Diba?
UE.
Diba?
So,
So,
they actually have a squad. If you
squad
look at this
talaga.
whole UE team. And
Malakas sila.
yeah, if you look at UE in general, the system that Coach Jack put in, if you are a fan of modern basketball, ito
Sila
yung
yun.
team mo, bro. I think they're
Sila.
leading the league in 3-point attempts. I think almost 33,
Yeah.
34
30,
attempts
yeah.
from
30
three
plus a game. Per game.
per game. 5 out. I mean, bro,
Bro.
with Kyle, nakikita ko dito sa UE parang Warriors eh. Kyle
Warriors,
Panada, yeah, Steph. CJ Payawal, you said it, parang Klay Thompson.
Klay Thompson.
Si Villegas, parang Draymond Green na may
Draymond.
shooting.
Oh,
And then
diba?
Nico Parenada, probably Jordan Poole. Switch lang sila off the bench kasi si Jordan Poole. But UE is making waves. If they're
Yeah.
shooting their threes, they can beat anyone in the UAAP. If they're making their threes, because they will shoot their threes no matter what.
Yeah,
Yun yung
that's
nangyari against Ateneo. First half, they were hitting threes. Second half, they missed, I think, 10 threes in the
That's
third
where
quarter. Comeback na yun.
that's where Ateneo took advantage of that. Eh.
Right. So, for me, one of the funnest teams to watch. Most fun to watch is the UE Red Warriors. Let's move on to the next team. We have a couple more, 3 more. DLSU, Gelo, dati kang Lasal. So I'll let you talk about the Green Archers. Are you disappointed as a former Lasalian? What? Where are you in that spectrum?
Again, ako, college, alam naman natin, nag-UP tayo, Jegs, but
right.
there's a Lasalian in me na nagagalit. Bakit kayo 3 and 4?
Right.
Bakit kayo 3 and 4? And I've placed you guys second to UP. Ganun ang kataas ang expectations ko sa Lasal. But you have to also think na one, there was a stretch where Evan didn't get to play. That was against yung natalo sila against UE, hindi naglaro si Evan nun. That's one. That's
And
another,
I think CJ Austria wala rin siya.
CJ Austria wasn't. No, Mark Nonoy wasn't there.
Nonoy. So ito Penny lang yung point guard ng Lasal.
Penny lang yung point guard nila. So okay. And then their first ng potential during their first game against Lasal. Jegs, you covered that game.
Right.
Parang iisipin mo, wait, baka matatalo pa tong UP. Ganun eh. Parang may talo pa UP dito. Ganun sila ganun yung magiging, what do you call this? Ganun yung impression mo sa kanila when you see them play. And as a fan of basketball, makita mo sila, lakas naman na itong Lasal na to. Grabe Like, we're gonna look at it on paper.
On paper, yeah.
On paper, lakas niyan. Ang lakas ng Lasal. And tinan mo, they have the luxury of blowing out teams. Pinakitaan nila against FEU na kaya nilang tumampak ng tao. And during that game, nakita ko yung entirety of how Lasal plays. Wala si Michael Phillips nung game na yun. He was out because of injury. Someone stepped up. Raven Cortez stepped up. He had 6 blocks. That yung bench production nila nun at that day was so efficient. Waki Manuel, nag-breakout nung game na yun. He scored like 16 points off the bench. Dropped like 3 points. Kevin Kiambao, 17 points off the bench. And probably it went downhill when they won against Lasal.
Right.
Against Ateneo.
Yeah.
I've talked to their assistant coach, Coach Carl Santos, and inamin niya sa akin na it was that loss against UE was a wake-up call for
Mhm.
them na, hoy, any team can beat you. Dahil tinalo niyo yung Ateneo,
It doesn't
it
mean anything.
doesn't
Yeah.
mean anything. Oh, the next game against UE, binaba daw sila sa lupa. Manong
Mm.
Derek was so mad at them. He was so mad at the team that during that time na you guys have to wake up. Huwag kayo magkumpiyansa because any team can beat you. Hindi kayo ganun talaga kalakas. If
Right.
you
I
if you
mean,
if you wa- 'Di ba? If you wanna prove yourself, parang ang sinabi daw sa kanila Manong Derek, if you wanna guys prove yourself that you guys are the real deal, talunin niyo yung nasa taas, talunin niyo yung UP, talunin niyo yung mga top teams.
mhm.
And the way I see it, you guys are not gonna win any games from here on out.
Yun
Ganun
yung
daw
sinabi
yung
ni Coach
oo,
Derek.
ganun ganun daw. So again, it's just frustrating because again, kasi I don't want this guy's season to be put to waste. The guy's
Mhm.
leading the league in minutes played, scoring, and steals. This guy, Shawnee Winston, is a revelation to everyone. We never expected him to like put up these kinds of
Mhm.
numbers per game. And parang as a Lasallian, ayoko lang masayang yung last season ni Shawnee Winston because
Right.
he has the potential to win it all this season. LaSalle
I
has the
think
potential,
Yeah. I think he's
di ba?
shown glimpses last season 84 that he can score with the best in the UAP. And I think naka-adjust na siya sa UAP atmosphere because say what you want, UAAP is a different atmosphere
Iba
compared to the
talaga.
NCAA, how you play in the
Iba talaga.
States, different leagues
It's
here in
different. Way
the
different.
Philippines. UAAP is different. And I think Shani has adjusted well. That's why he's averaging
Yeah.
21 points per game,
Number
6
one in the league.
rebounds, and 3 steals per game. He's leading the league also in steals. But I think the problem for LaSalle this season, we know that they're running the full court press of Coach
Yeah.
Derek Pomarian, but their main guys are also playing heavy minutes. And I think
Yeah.
that's why they're having a tough time closing out games because if you full court press the whole game, you put pressure on the ball, eventually you're gonna get tired. By the time
Yep.
fourth quarter, alam mo yan,
Buscan.
Jels, you're gonna be
Buscan.
pagod ka na, di ba?
Buscan.
Hindi mo na alam, what's the defensive scheme? Anong play yung kailangan natin gawin? And I'm not saying that they're not in shape. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
saying that I think it won't be sustainable if you're gonna press double team the whole
Yeah.
game and expect them to finish out games. I think that's where the problem lies with the Green Archers. And I think eventually they're going to be able to fix things. Slowly, nakikita mo na si Coach Derek na nag-experiment ng mga subs coming in and out, extended minutes for the
Oh,
bench. I mean,
pero
for
yeah,
me, Evan Nelly
Evan.
has been, for me, the great one of the top point guards in the UAP.
Sure boy.
7.8 assists per game. Maybe scoring wise, not there yet, but defensively, mahaba siya. He can play defense for LaSalle, and he's been doing a great job of facilitating.
Yes.
Evanelli, we knew he can do this back in Beda. He was always like this. Of course, si Kevin Kembaujas, did you expect him to have a slump early in the first round and then eventually pick it up?
I kind of expected him na right then and there, go ka na. Because syempre, I was kind of thinking na,
Sabi
yes,
pa niya, rookie MVP siya, di ba?
I was kind of
Before the
thinking,
season, yeah.
yeah, I was kind of thinking na he's already gonna be at the same level as Carl. Kasi
Yeah.
Carl entered the UAAP na same eh. May gila stint na and all of that. And I was kind of expecting, medyo mataas yung expectation ng tao kay Kevin. But then again, like what we always say, UAAP is such a different animal.
But do you think, si Kevin, of course, Michael Phillips, Motor Mike, averaging a
Oh,
double-double, he's
yeah.
always going to be consistent. But
Yep.
with Kevin, do you think he's a little bit parang, not naman underutilized, but not used in a way that he will be effective? Kasi the offense ng Lasal, siya like, a lot of sets.
Mm.
Kevin Kimbao, he's not really the hub like what you were talking about
Mm.
kay Ange Kwame. Usually, minsan spreading the floor, minsan
Yeah.
top of the key, top
Top of
of
the key.
elbow post. Parang there's not much space for Kevin Kimbao to do his thing.
Facilitate. Yeah.
Facilitate, he's gonna drive. Kasi parang I think they lack, I guess, spacers or shooters.
Shooters. Wala
Diba?
silang
Kasi
shooters talaga eh.
let's say yung first five nila, Evan Nelly, Shawnee Winston, sino bang three nila? Sometimes CJ,
They put
sometimes
They put
Waki.
CJ Austria or Waki Manuel or
Oh, start
or
to start.
uh,
Abadam.
Abadam
And
usually.
then you
Yeah,
have KQ and then Mike Phillips at
like
the five,
Phillips.
diba?
Yeah,
Or Ben Phillips minsan.
Ben.
At,
Yeah,
right? So, parang for me, walang space dun, man. Like, Mike
wala
Phillips,
talaga.
he's just gonna be sa, what do you call that?
The
Uh,
hub, the wheel guy,
wheel guy, right?
wheel guy. Yeah,
Below the rim, drop passes and
drop
all that.
passes. Yeah.
Ben Phillips, sometimes may three, sometimes wala.
Wala silang floor spacer
Right.
talaga.
And also way they run their offense. Like this for me, I just feel like walang space. I'm sorry for the coaches Parang yun lang nakikita ko eh. That's
Yeah.
just what I see. It's just I don't know what they're for sure there's a reason why they run that.
Yeah.
May sarili silang
Uh,
way of
diba?
looking at things, right? Okay, let's move on to the FU Tamaraws. Back-to-back
Yun.
wins against
Oh.
UST and then defeating the number one team in the Bulldogs. FU Just. What's up? What's up with FU?
Uh, eto, revelation sa akin tong taong to. Brian Sahonya.
Woo.
I mean, nobody expected him to be the top scorer for FEU this season because
Okay,
everyone was
just
expecting LJ.
yung sa week na yan, yung final week
Oh,
ng first round, average
okay.
17.5 points, 3 rebounds, and 1.5 assists. I mean, go ahead, just talk about this guy.
I mean, when kasi I covered the game like live nung against Lasal. FEU yung kalaban ng Lasal noon, and Brian Sahonya was their leading scorer at the time. So pre-game uh we were talking about Cyrus Torres and Patrick Sleet.
Right.
But throughout the day, throughout the game coverage, we were never talking about this guy, Brian Sahonya. But first half, pare, bigla lang nag 12 points, mga dalawang 3
Kumpiyansa
points.
yan eh.
Diba, iba yung kumpiyansa nitong Brian Sahonya all of a sudden. Kasi nung nawala na yung scoring ni LJ, because I think LJ isn't 100% kasi because of injuries, but he's number 2 in scoring sa FEU. And Patrick Sleet was shut down. When Patrick Sleet and Cyrus Torres was shut down, who's the next guy? Biglang nag-show up si Brian Sahonya. And I think Brian Sahonya, if he continues to show great game, pare, walang imposible dito sa FEU. Baka
I agree.
baka bigla na lang magulat tayo lahat. They're already number 5. They're
So
already a number
hot take, pwede mag-final for FU?
pare. One game behind na lang sa number 4 eh. Hindi mo talaga
Right.
masasabi, di ba?
Okay.
Isipin mo, they won back-to-back and then all of a sudden, they're one game behind the final, the fourth spot. I mean, again, UAAP, walang sure bull na panalo dito. So, but again,
Okay.
knowing Coach Olsen and FEU, ano lang to, parang nangyari lang dito is yung nangyari sa Adamson last season. Medyo late lang nag-show up, pero andun.
Laban tong FU. I mean,
Laban.
si Sahonya, I think he missed first 2 games of the season or basta a couple of games. I think health and safety protocols. But,
Yeah.
and then slowly pagpasok niya, alam mong may green light eh. Kasi
Meron.
first game back niya, he was shooting. He didn't shoot well, but he was shooting and taking those shots. And then finally, I think nung game against UST and then game against NU,
Lumabas sa
nag-click silang lahat. LJ, Gonzalez, Cyrus Torres, Brian Sahonya, all clicked. Even Al Forque for some time. Even Pat Chuente. I think they have the talent to win. They have the talent to win. Offensively,
They have the material.
defensively, they have the material also. So I think when things click, it's gonna be a tough win.
Yeah.
If you're gonna try to win against FU, it's gonna be a tough game.
Yeah.
So I think FU, dark horse in the second round. Dark horse, but you'll never know. Especially if Pat Chuente plays well. I think siya yung X factor eh. You know LJ will score, Cyrus Torres will shoot, Sahonya will shoot. But if Pat Chuente plays well, defends without fouling, rebounds, and scores, I think FU, may mga gugulatin to sa second round.
Gugulatin yan, tinan mo. Yung gugulatin yan.
Okay, so FU's done. Last na. UST 1-6. Basically, UST is a Nick Cabanero team. I feel bad for the guy. He's the only guy really producing for UST on a consistent basis. So Nick Caballero second in scoring in the UAP, 17.7 points per game. Give him double teams, give him triple teams, doesn't matter. He's gonna try to score a bucket. Condition, plays heavy minutes, pero still going at it every single ball game. And you just have to put respect on Nick Caballero's name. Second year in the league, bucket, has a great
Crazy.
defender, and
Crazy.
I think the future is bright for Nick Caballero. I think they
Yeah.
just need a little bit more pieces. I mean, syempre nawala si Sherwin. They didn't expect that. Nawala si Kian. Not sure if they expected that, right? So, UST, any surprises? Are they gonna surprise anyone in the second round, or is it gonna be rebuilding? Adama Faye is one of the bright spots also for UST. What can you say about Coach Baldovin's
Ako,
first round in the UAP?
I just feel that UST needs one, yeah, tama, the right pieces. And two, I want their rookies to step up. Kenji
Mm-hmm.
Dorendes, I want them to step up. Or Richie Kalimag. I want those new guys to like have the confidence to shoot and to create. Kasi if they're gonna be rebuilding, they have to rebuild through those guys, through those
Right.
rookies na very very high potential, can really play and and work together and to revolve the team around Nick Cabanero.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's the first year of Coach Val. We'll see. I mean, gaya nga na sabi natin, let's just be patient with UST because again, it's still a
Right.
new team and all of that. So we'll see. I mean, wala ako gaanong expectations to be honest with you with UST,
Mm-hmm.
but I just want to see their program grow.
Sa akin, most hype cheer pa rin, Ghosted
Ay,
sa
for sure,
UAP.
for
One of the
sure.
most hype
Walang
cheers.
tatalo doon, walang tatalo doon.
Okay, so that was a rundown. Maybe a preview also. You call it a preview of the UAAP. Let us know your thoughts. What do you think of these teams, your top teams, Final Four, Dark Horses? Let us know in the comments.
Yes,
Let us know
sir.
your thoughts. Okay, from the UAP, let's talk about the PBA. Before we move on to our last segment, our newest segment in this show, quickly, let's talk about the PBA. A couple of topics here. Let's start it off with the Magnolia Hotshots losing to Hinebra
Mm.
on a comeback. I think it was a 15-point
Comeback, yeah,
comeback in
15
the
point lead,
fourth.
yeah. Whew.
We did not expect it because the Magnolia Hotshots, they've been playing well with
Yeah.
Rakocevic there. They've been shooting the lights out. But Hinebra, as always, never say die. Si Tim Cone, sabi siya sa interview na he's comparing Scotty Thompson to the Big G.
Wow.
Ooh.
Wow.
Anong reactions mo doon,
Wow.
GV?
Wow.
Big
You know
words
what?
yun, pare.
Sorry, the living legend yun. The living legend
Oh.
yun. Para mo sabihin na,
Jaworski yun, pare.
grabe naman pa. Grabe. Pero he should start wearing number 7 kung ganun, di ba?
Oo, di ba? Pero, do you see it? Do you see it in Scotty?
Well,
The
in
numbers are
terms,
there, man.
hindi,
Grabe yung energy
yeah,
ni
give the
Scotty, pare.
numbers. You gotta the numbers show he's an MVP for a reason. Don't ever
Mhm.
say na dahil wala lang si Junmar injured kaya siya nag-MVP. Hell no. Showed
Yeah,
the
yeah.
numbers. He showed the numbers. He showed the game. And in terms of yung sinasabi ni Coach Tim na he's like a jawo. In
Ooh.
terms of the spirit siguro that he
Yeah.
brings, that never say die
I think,
attitude. That's siguro yun yung sinasabi yun yung ibig sabihin ni Coach Tim doon, the way he plays on the court, yung demeanor niya towards the game. Kaya siya siguro nakikitaan ng glimpse of the living legend in his game. Kaya siguro ganun.
Well, I agree. Yung rebounds, I think rebound highlight, he gets up the crowd because of those rebounds, because of his hustle
Ngayon lang ako
plays.
nakakita ng highlight na dahil lang sa
Na
rebound
rebound
eh.
din. Oo nga eh. Exactly. So, the Hinebra never say die attitude against Magnolia Hotshots. They won that, giving the Hotshots their first loss of this conference. Now, let's talk about the recent hot team. You're very close to this team, Jels.
Very
The
much, very
Phoenix
much.
Fuel Masters, I think
They're
4-game
close.
winning streak. Am
Four
I
game
correct?
four game winning streak. Yeah,
They beat
they're in a 4 game.
Meralco. They just beat Rain or Shine in their
Kanina,
latest
actually
game.
kanina.
Um,
Ah,
did we expect this? I mean, walang Matthew, right? Walang Jason Perkins, and they are on a hot streak. this conference, man.
I'm constantly talking with Migs Aitona, head SNC.
Mm.
In the start of the season, ang sinabi niya sa akin, I don't expect us to make it to the playoffs. Like
Right.
legit with the
Oh,
materials that
yeah,
we have,
yeah.
I don't really expect us to
And you
make it to the
expect that
playoffs.
walang Matthew Wright, walang
Walang
Jason
motorite.
Perkins, bro, eh, diba?
Wala kang agad primary scorers. And
Oh.
then one game at a time, yan, biglang, di mo, ang kaya namin talunin si Ginebra. Uy, tinalo namin
Mm.
si Ginebra. Miral ko na yung kalaban namin, wala pang panalo yan.
Mm.
Hanggang sa kahapon, pare, kaya namin mag-playoffs. Playoffs kami. Yung remaining games na lang namin, si ganito, ganyan.
And that's
And,
what winning does for you, bro. That's
kailangan yung mayabang pag nananalo
yeah,
ko eh.
yeah.
Diba? And based on insights from the inside, like si Coach Migs, and iba rin kasi yung, what do you call this? Iba yung culture with the
Yeah,
new
yeah.
guys eh. The
Mm.
culture is there. I'm not saying dahil nawala si Matthew Wright, gumanda yung ano, but the in terms of culture, the attitude that the Phoenix team has been doing this conference. Grabe daw.
Right.
So there will be guys daw na kunyari, hindi ginamit the previous game. The next day would be in the gym putting up
Mm.
shots,
That's
doing
the
extra
culture
work
you want. Yeah.
doing extra work in the weight room. I mean, kaya nasusuklian ng panalo. And everyone's on the same page daw. Parang one goes
Mm.
down, everyone goes down. One goes up, everyone goes up. Ganun daw. So props to Coach Topex and
Yeah,
the
I think this
Phoenix.
is Coach Topex, bro. I think this is a reflection of how Coach Topex leads this team,
Yeah,
coaches the game. And also, I think it's because of their top two guys, talking about JV Mocon and Tyler Teo.
Tyler
These
Teo.
guys are winners. These guys
Yeah,
won in college multiple times. So I think their leadership and
yeah,
the way they lead by example, yun yung nagwo-work
yeah,
dito
that's true.
for the Fuel Masters. I mean, Tyler, man, leading the rookie race by far here in the conference na to. So, I mean, all of future's bright here for the Phoenix Field
For
Masters.
sure,
Now,
for sure.
lastly, let's talk about SMB. I think they finally won against NLEX without Junmar, but how big of a loss is Junmar Fajardo? He's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks, according to reports.
You
So,
know,
ang hirap ng adjustment na to, bro.
hirap eh. Well, one presence ni Junmar is a huge factor for
Mm-hmm.
for San Miguel. And two, yung import. Kaya nila kinuha yung import, the current import, because they want him to play alongside Junmar kasi nag complement yung game nung import and yung game ni Junmar. So after that, parang they are forced to change an import. They forced to change, pinalitan nila si Diamond Stone to another
Right.
import. Kasi nga, again, 4 to 6 weeks mawawala si Junmar. Ganun kalaki yung impact ni Junmar na dahil wala si Junmar, hindi, palit tayo import.
Yeah.
Ganun,
Ay
ganun.
sinabi nga ni Vic Manuel na it's gonna be hard to fill the gap that Junmar
Yes, that's
created
true.
with this injury. But
That's true.
si Vic Manuel yung nag-step up naman against
Yeah, which
NLEX,
is good.
22 points. And I think Vic Manuel is the type of guy that can do this. He's been the main guy the rest of his career.
Yes.
Ngayon lang sa San Miguel na off the bench siya. Pero
Yep.
I think if when you have a deep team like San Miguel, pag may na-injure, next man up, di
Oh,
ka na
yung next man up
magugulat
yun.
na magsi-step up yung
Ganun
mga
kalalim.
players.
Ganun kalalim
That's
ang
how
San Miguel.
that's how deep SMB is. Now, Gelo, we have a new segment in this podcast, in this show. So we talked about UAAP, we talked about the PBA. We have a new challenge for my co-host right here, my guy.
Yes.
In 3 minutes, Gelo's gonna be talking about the global basketball scene, whether it's in Korea, Japan, local here. Talk about Philippine hoops or global hoops. Doesn't matter. He's gonna talk about it in 3 minutes. Gelo, 3 minutes starts now. Go get it.
All right, so we're gonna be talking about FIBA World Basketball, starting it off with the FIBA Asia qualifier power rankings, Philippines climbs to number 4 in the recent power rankings. Number 3 is New Zealand. Number 2 is Lebanon, and of course, number 1 is Australia. And for your biggest winners and losers in terms of FIBA rankings, Bahrain jumping 18 spots from 104 to 86. Guinea up 15 spots. Colombia up 13 spots. Indonesia up 13 spots as well, and South Sudan in Africa with 11 spots. And the largest fall is Qatar, falling 14 spots from 75 to 89. So another teams have been falling. Andorra down 12 spots, Malta down 12 as well, Moldova and Ireland with 11 spots. So in the next tournament, in this new tournament, Phil Basket, there's a current league that is the first ever international league of Phil Basket currently happening in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. There are 10 teams competing, Southeast Asian teams competing. There are 1 team from Singapore, 3 teams from the Philippines, uh, 3 teams from Malaysia, and 2 teams from Indonesia, and a team from Brunei. So currently they're on their 4th day of the league. So it's gonna be an interesting one. So in terms of the schedules, in terms of the schedules and results, please check out Phil Basket on Instagram. Okay, the next league we're going to be talking about, TBL, the basketball league in the States. So now they announced their draft combine schedule to take place across the US for the next few months in preparation of their draft this coming February 4 and 5. Their next combine will be held in Phoenix, Arizona on November 5 from 10 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. local time. Next, we're gonna be talking about the Korean Basketball League. We'll be talking about results of our guys, SJ Bilangel, SJ and his team, Korea Gas Kogas beat Wonju DB 98 to 78. SJ ended with 14 points, 8 assists, and 6 rebounds. Uh, on October 20,
You
Anya
got
beat
30 seconds, bro.
Mobius, RJ
RJ.
Gonzalez, RJ Abarrientos, they lost. And then another team, again, Mobius ulit, the team of RJ, he dropped 23 points in this game, breakout game, career high, and they have reports that RJ is probably gonna be a candidate for rookie MVP this season. And moving forward, after KBL, we're gonna be talking about the MPBL. The MPBL is now currently on its playoffs. They're currently finishing off the quarterfinals, the first round of their playoffs. The semifinals is up. Nueva Ecija is back to the semifinals, obviously. Pasig, San Juan, Zamboanga Families, Brand Sardines, and in the South Division, they're still finishing up with their South Division quarterfinals. And lastly, the B League, where Japanese guys, Kobe and all those guys have been playing. Neo Phoenix and in Neo Phoenix, the team of 30 Ravenna beat Osaka 77 to 68. Ryukyu beat Akita 77 to 76. Uh, the former team of Javi Gomez de Leano and Dwight Ramos, Ibaraki Robots beat Yokohama 84 to 77. Diamond Dolphins, the current team of Dwight Ramos, beat Hokkaido 112 to 77. And masyado pong maraming teams ang pwede natin pag-usapan dito, but yun lang ang pwede kong sabihin ngayon because I'm running out of time and this is so hard.
So I think that was 4 minutes. So next time, tignan natin. Guys, put your bets on kaya ba ni Gelo gawin yun in under 3 minutes. I think one game though that I see is Chiba beating Shiga, which is Kiefer's team. 103-59. That's a blowout. That's like
a blowout.
4-point win.
Kaya hindi ko na sinabi. Pero Jigs, come on. Chiba Jets.
But that's Chiba Jets, bro. My idols there. See, what's his name? Yuki Togashi. That's my guy right there, bro. We can have a whole episode talk about Yuki Togashi. Anyway, just before we end this show, that was a great segment, by the way. Very informative. I am now updated with world basketball, global basketball. I love it. Okay. So lastly, before we end the show, maybe hot takes. Second round in the UAAP. Let's go back to the UAAP. second round quick takes for the second half of the UAP. Ikaw muna, Jels.
Sinabi ko na kanina to eh. Lasal
Oh.
might not make the Final Four.
Sheesh!
Continue to play like
Before
that.
the season, sinabi mo sa finals, magpa-finals
Sinabi ko
Lasal
sa'yo.
UP,
Pero
di ba?
the way they played, kaya nga nilagay ko sila at number 2, di ba? Nilagay ko sila at number 2 next to UP, and they might, and they're gonna go farther than Ateneo.
Right.
But the way they're playing right now, come on, Lasal, come on.
Okay, I think me for my take, I think okay, Final Four mo. Final Four. Who's your Final Four?
Right now, it's obviously
Yeah.
gonna be UP. In no particular order to. UP,
Okay.
NU, Ateneo.
Who's your fourth?
UE.
Woo! That is a hot take. That's a hot take, boy. Golly, alright. I think for me, I think FU will have a shot in that fourth spot. I'm not saying they will. I think they're one of the dark
May chance.
horses.
Kumbaga sila yung manggugulo. Sila yung manggugulo.
Right.
May chance.
I think that's me. So for Final Four, it's gonna be UP, Ateneo, LaSalle, and I think Adamson, bro.
Oh.
I think NU will not. Sheesh, this is tough, but I think NU will have a downward trend in the second round. That's just me. I'm just doing it for the hot takes. I think yours is a hot take also. Let's see. We're gonna see, bro. We're gonna see. I mean, that's a tough one. We're gonna see. That's why we're doing this, just for the fun. But that's just me. Let's get it. All right. That was a wild take. But that's it for tonight, man. There was a great conversation once again.
It was a good episode.
Changed the schedule. We did it on a Wednesday night, but you know what it is. Next Man Up Weekly. Appreciate you, my guy. For my partner, Gelo Vito, my name's Dario, and we are out. Next Man Up. See you next episode.